So welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Cowling. I'm the founder and owner of South Devon Bass Guide, and in this video I'm going to talk you through a recent client capture that was extremely interesting in regards to the situation and the setting in which it was caught. So yeah, it's quite apt that I'm sat in under the shade, in under the trees with Bertie here, because this is exactly how this bass capture was caught. Basically, this was a regular client of mine. He comes down every year. He's a young guy called Nathan. I would say he's probably one of the most natural bass lure anglers that I've come across in the 10 years that I've been guiding. He's just got that instinct for it, that instinct to know when to step it up, when to really concentrate, when to walk away, you know, when to consider changing the lure, when to decide what lure to change to or move to based on the conditions and stuff like that. I'm happy to say that he's read my books, and you know, we talk quite regularly. He fishes up on the south coast of England. I won't say where. He's very, very secretive about where he fishes. But yeah, he's a really good lad, and I enjoy guiding him. And it all links into the reason why I set him on his way along this particular area, to be fair, because it was I was actually guiding a 3-day package, and I won't lie, it was at the start of one of the more recent heat waves that we've had, and the conditions were pretty tough. We'd been out, we'd fished creeks, we'd fished mid-sections of estuaries, we'd fished out on the open coast, out on the tide races, we'd fished at night over sand, over reef. We tried a little bit of everything. We really had different lure types, and we had caught, but nothing to really write home about. It was all kind of small stuff, really. And there was this particular creek that I really wanted to fish on the last day. And I'd placed the other two clients into position, and they were essentially, one of them was on a paddle toe lure, and one was on a surface lure. I think it was a Pachinko 100. The guy on the soft plastic was on a Sawamura 1-op shad, the 3-inch version. We'd see some bait fish around, so I thought, why not go for, you know, a lure that represents a single entity, a single fish. That was with one client, and he was just bringing it down in the flow, trying to retrieve it as close to some structure as possible. And then with the other client, he had on the Patch 100, the Pachinko 100, which I believe mimics bait fish scattering. And what he was doing was just casting it out into the middle of this channel, working it quite vigorously, so like tap, 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 making it zigzag, spit the water, and they would pause it sporadically, again, just to mimic bait fish, to scattering and then just resting and then scattering. I find that when the tide's running quite strongly, if you put pauses in that kind of lure, sometimes if bass are being quite reticent, then they will hit it when you pause it. This links back into a video that I placed up on my Mark Cowling Bass Lure Fishing YouTube channel recently, in which I described 3 of my recent captures, in which they were all caught really tight into the weed on the mega bass steeper crawl. And I just think that because of the heat that we've been experiencing this summer, I think within the estuaries in particular, it's just taken some of the oxygen out of the water. So with that in mind, I'd earmark this area for Nathan to fish, because he's very adept with the creature baits. In fact, he was the first client of mine back in November 24 that caught a bass on a creature bait with me. So he was the perfect person, the guinea pig, if you like, to send up on this little quest. And essentially it was very similar to this, in that there was a canopy of trees and branches. Hello, mate. And it was creating shade over a particular area, and the tide was ebbing out of this particular section of the creek, and the water was very shallow in this area that he had to walk through to access another place that I'd said to him, you know, go up and fish. But I'd made it very clear. I said to him, before you get to where I was sending him, I said, there's an area there under the trees. It's a section of gravel. I said, it's bordered by weedy margins and bladderwrack. And I said, even though the water's only going to be probably 6 inches deep, I said, don't just walk through it. I said, because I have actually done that and spooked a decent bass. So, you know, I say I'm learning all the time. You know, I make mistakes the same as everybody. I'm not saying I'm the perfect bass lure angler by any sense, but it's learning from your mistakes and thinking, yeah, I remember last time I walked through here, I spooked the bass. Well, you know, you're not going to do that a second time. That's how I roll anyway. And yeah, so I'd said to him, before you get to that area, so I'm just listening to a client pop a lure in the flow at the moment. He's got a little popper on. I had a lovely fish on a popper the other day, which I'll cover in another video soon. But anyway, so I said to him, before you, don't just walk through that area. Now this was a section that was probably 5 or 6 meters in the shade, nice bit of gravel, 6 inches of water. And I said to him, make sure you put that sleeper crawl in that zone before you walk through it. No problem, Mark. And yeah, you can probably guess what happened. I was watching him and watching him and watching him, and he got to the area, and I turned just to look at the other two clients, and he was about 150 meters away from me, and I heard the splash. So just massive explosion. I thought, yeah, he's done it. And even though I had a little bit of a sore ankle at the time, a little bit of tendonitis in my Achilles, yeah, he shouted, got one. I steamed up there as quick as I could. He was holding the fish in the water. I say he's a very, very accomplished angler. You know, he knew what to do, just keep hold of the fish in the water. And yeah, we got her out, unhooked her, put her in the net just to make sure she was okay. Got a couple of nice photographs, let her swim away. And yeah, congratulations started. A very, very happy client. 57 centimetre bass, not massive, but I'll tell you what, on that package, let's say we caught a number of bass, we really did, everyone learnt a lot, but that on this occasion was the best fish of the 3 days, which normally we get some better ones than that, but I was over the moon. You know, everything came together in that moment. And like I said, there's a lot of components that capture his experience, the confidence I had in him to make the, you're gonna give me a kiss, don't you? Make the most of that very, very short window, that opportunity, if you like. You have to keep trying to kiss me. I think he thinks I've just eaten a pasty, but I haven't. And yeah, so let's say all in all, a fantastic capture. Very, very pleased for Nathan. The other guys congratulated him, and yeah, make the most, I say, of any sections of shade. Don't worry about the depth of water. I placed up earlier in this video a fish swimming right past me when I was in under the trees, that you know, it didn't see me, so it's nuts how close in these fish will come. So keep a real eye out for bass, especially in this really, really hot, bright sunshine, and this you know, it's great weather for the tourists, but yeah, it's doing my head in now, to be honest with you. There's lots of people around driving like nutters in the lanes, and getting to some of these marks is a little bit tedious, but it's worth it, because when we're out like this in these beautiful surroundings, and you know that the potential for bass, in some ways, in adversity, sometimes they're easier to catch, because, like I say, with experience, you kind of know that if it's very, very bright and a bit of the oxygen's come out the water, well, they're probably more likely to be sat in the shade. And yeah, that's exactly what's been happening. So I hope you enjoyed that one. And yeah, I'll be back with another client capture on the South Devon Bass Guide YouTube channel very, very soon. But from Bertie and I, see you soon.